Listen, joining us on the line right now is Dan Bongino, former Secret Service agent, Republican Party nominee for Maryland's 6th Congressional District. He's also a best-selling author, and we think an all-round good guy. Okay, Dan, let me just lay it on the line because we got to know. Let's get down to brass tacks here. They did absentee balloting yesterday, and they got everything counted except I think it's Washington County, which is still outstanding. It should come in today. Based on the way it looked in those numbers, Associated Press called the race in favor of your opponent, yet you have not yet conceded. Where are you?
Well, yeah, a lot of that's basically due to human physiology. I went to sleep last night after being really sick for the last week. About 11, woke up, saw as an AP reporter, and called my cell phone. So you're the first interview I'm doing. I just saw it on Twitter and assumed with the AP call this morning. So where are we now? Well, the Washington County numbers should come in early this morning. I don't think the math looks good. It may be impossible with the numbers. And we're certainly not looking to prolong, at this point, the inevitable. You know, I like the congressman personally. He's actually a really nice guy. We had a lot of political differences, but it really did stop there. And if that's the case, we'll put out a statement. I'll probably just use my Facebook page. That's what I've been doing. It's easier that way. At some point this morning. But I just have to take a look first, and if that is the case, then we'll probably put something out today.
So it would have to be, I mean, the mathematical probability that Washington County would pull you out of this is not good. You were trailing by about 2,000 votes.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, I don't even think Washington County had that many outstanding. I think it was something like 1,500 or 1,496. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but yeah, it was close. And again, if that's the case, there's nothing worse than these campaigns. I mean, I know this isn't the politically correct thing to say, but they just keep going on and on and on. You don't want the Al Franken scenario in Minnesota, where by the 75th recount he finally pulled the thing out. So we'll see. I'll take a look this morning, and I just got up a little while ago. I'm trying to recover from the election, and that I just had a really wicked cold this week that kind of knocked me out.
Well, I heard that you may have had like a sort of relapse of some dengue fever that you picked up years ago.
You know, it's weird, Brian. When I came back from Panama during the Secret Service trip there with the dengue, I've never. Every time I get even a regular cold, it knocks me out for about a week. I don't know. I don't know why that is. It must have changed something in my immune system, but this week was really bad. I wound up missing a whole bunch of appearances the last few days of the campaign because I had a really bad, really high fever, and we couldn't get out of the house, and it really kind of put a damper on everything this week. But it was a great effort. I don't think, matter of fact, I know, nobody gave us a shot, and we knew this was a competitive race, and there's no silver medals in politics. But, kudos to my team who put together and just an unbelievable effort. And it goes to show you, don't ever let establishmentarian insiders tell you what you can and can't get done in politics if you have enough of a heart to go after it.
Dan Bongino, first of all, thanks for joining us this morning. I'm glad you're feeling better, and it's just good to talk to you. We haven't been able to talk to you very much on the show, so it's good to talk to you. You just kind of pointed out what kind of odds you were up against. First of all, you're running against an incumbent in a district that was gerrymandered specifically to keep him in his seat. He's the third richest man in Congress. You took no money from the National Committee, the Republican National Committee. And you're running in Maryland, which is a pretty Democratic state. Montgomery County, which I believe, the numbers are 3-1, I think, in Democratic County, in Montgomery County for Democrats to Republicans. And yet you came within a whisker, it appears, of winning that seat. Talk to me about what you saw in this campaign, what made the difference, and what this does in terms of a roadmap going forward for Republicans and conservatives in the state of Maryland.
And just to further the background state of play on it, there really wasn't an anti-Obama sentiment in Maryland, especially in the district based on the polls. There was a large anti-O'Malley sentiment, which Larry Hogan, that is, masterfully ran a campaign on and won handily. But we were running against different headwinds. This was a separate race. There really wasn't a massive, you'd be surprised. Obamacare actually polled pretty well in about 60% of my district. We had a really tough road. Third richest member of Congress and a formidable guy. I mean, a really good guy, too, a guy who wasn't personally disliked by anyone, was endorsed by all the papers and in glowing endorsements. And keep in mind, Larry, the Democrats in the state cut that district specifically for Rob Garagiola, who was their golden boy. He was the Senate Majority Leader. And John Delaney beat him by almost 20 points. He also beat the incumbent congressman by 21. So this was a Herculean task to take on. Now, what made the difference, you ask? Well, I'm writing an article now on that. I call it the to-don't list. Things to not do to get caught up in. First being don't listen to people who tell you can't win. But I think the one thing that made the difference was, if you had to triage them, was definitely the door knocking. I mean, we knocked on an unbelievable amount of doors. By the time we were done, I think it was 28,775, and I had knocked on 7,000 myself. And it's really hard to demonize Republicans as these people who don't like women and, small children and puppies and things like that. When you knock on their front door and you just say hello, say, I'm not here to bother you, just here to introduce myself. I'm Dan Bongino, running for Congress. Here's a card with my email if you have any questions. That's how 90% of the interactions went. And I am absolutely convinced that made the difference and closed what was a 20-point gap for us only 6 months ago to what's going to be less than 1 by the time this is over.
All right, so let me just make sure that I have this right. So you trailed by 2,016 votes. How many outstanding votes are there to be counted in Washington County?
About 1,500.
Well, then there's really no way you can make up the gap, is there?
Well, there's still...
Even if all of them came your way, you'd still come up short, right?
Yeah, and if that's the case, we still have to look at provisionals and absentees. But if the math isn't there, I'm not. If it's one of those scenarios where provisionals, you can win if you won 98% of provisional ballots. I'm not here to prolong the inevitable. I just think it was just fair to my team and the donors and supporters that given that the absentee count was about 9,000 outstanding ballots when we started this, and we were down by 2,000. There was still a chance, but I don't want to prolong the inevitable.
Well, it is a very interesting district, the way it's, and you ran a great race and nobody really expected, given the way this whole thing has been gerrymandered, that you had much of a chance, but you led until the very end, and then those votes from Montgomery County came in.
Yeah.
Hey,
Dan. That was the most painful part. We were up the entire night.
I know.
There were hundreds upon hundreds of precincts that reported. We only lost when the last 3 came in.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about painful. It was awful.
Now's the time to talk about what's next for Dan Bongino. I know that what's next for you is probably to take a shower and have some breakfast, but would you rule out serving in a Hogan cabinet? With the new Republican leadership in Annapolis, you've obviously shown yourself to be a good and proud conservative Republican in Maryland. He needs some good men.
Well, Larry, I know it's not the I'm not the most politically correct guy. I don't sharpen my talking points with focus groups here, but we're pretty devastated about this. My wife and I. This has been a 3-year journey for us between leaving the job with the prior career and running for office and the knocking on doors and the parades, and we just, for the last 2 days, we've just been sitting at our kitchen table, and we're not really saying much, which is really saying everything. We don't even know what to say to each other. It's just it's really devastating to have it just ripped away from you, and knowing that you put in the hard work like that. So I don't know. It's not easy. This is really difficult to deal with.
Understood.
I wish I had a better answer.
Understood, Dan. Well, listen, both of us have sat next to you right here in this very room many a morning, and we do consider you a good friend. And our hope goes out to you. Congratulations on a really well fought campaign.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for giving me a chance on the radio. Let me tell my case over there. I appreciate it.
Of course. Dan Bongino, thanks for joining us.